Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we have come all the way to the Caribbean side of Costa Rica to be at one of the most beautiful farms we have seen here in Costa Rica. This is Finca La Isla, and we wanted to meet our longtime tropical fruit forum fruit growing friend Peter.
Hi.
You have seen a lot of videos on this farm before. Pete Canaris made a video. I don't know if John Collar has been here. Maybe not.
No, Pete Canaris has done two. Did one on chocolate and one on the farm a while ago.
If you want to know about the whole farm and the tour, we'll put links down. But this was more about our own inquiry, because we are going to start a farm. We have started a farm in other part of Costa Rica, and we wanted to know what we can do, because we don't believe in putting any pesticides. Actually don't even believe in buying any chemicals and putting. We shouldn't be doing that. We should be self-sustainable, making our own fertilizers from the organic products in the farm. So that's what I wanted to learn, and hopefully we can learn that today. So, one question that came to us was, I would categorize into three different groups of growers that we have met. One who would not hesitate using chemicals because they would feel like, chemicals are okay. And there are others who would do half chemicals and half as needed basis of fungicidals and pesticides. And there are who, very few actually, we have hardly met any that would do totally organic, and because there are many challenges to it. So I wanted to meet Peter because I have heard that you totally organic here. And what has been your challenges? What have been your challenges as to pests, and how did you take care of that? And also, how did you what did you do to make sure that everyone all the plants are happy, like there are no nutrient deficiencies and all that?
We are completely organic. Finca La Isla is certified organic, and it's certified organic not because I think that it really needs to be certified organic, but because most of our people that support us, that buy our products, know our farm and are pretty confident. The thing is like I'm also sell at a farmer's market, and the farmer's market decided that we wanted to have a group that was certified organic, and that would give more confidence to the shoppers. And so that's the reason that I go to the trouble of being certified organic. The trouble is really all the paperwork and stuff like that. The cost, we have a cooperative that is the whole cooperative is certified, and so that keeps the cost down. The cost is not a factor. So we practice agroforestry, and our agroforestry is basically trying to duplicate what's going on in nature. Mm-hmm. So if we went in the forest, then what we would find is not just mowed grass or swept clean kind of look. What we're going to find is a lot of leaf litter and stuff like this. Yeah. Why that works in the forest is because of microorganisms. And so if we go in that forest and walk around, I go and do consultations, and I'm frequently told by the workers of my clients that, we need to use chemicals because the soil is no good here. And so I say, well, what about all that forest there? How's all that stuff growing so well then? And they say, oh yeah, that's natural. I said, natural, that's right. That's what we're going to do. So go and look in there and look on the ground. And what you're going to see is a lot of leaf litter, sticks, leaves, stuff. And if we open that up, then we see there's microorganisms working in there. Okay, on the farm here, what we're doing is we're converting cacao, a cacao area, to an area with durian and chempedak and jackfruit and a bunch of stuff like that. And so we've used the cacao trees help us with making a lot of mulch and stuff. We're if we just relied on the microorganisms and the biomass alone, that's going to work for a while. But the thing is in the forest, fruit tree, the fruits drop on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
We're not leaving the fruits on the ground. We're taking the fruits out. So we feel like we've got to put something back.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing there is using manures. So this is all very basic, very simple. And we use cow manure and chicken manure that we get from local farms. And we may apply amendments like calcium carbonate, rock phosphate, sulfur, things like that, and potassium sulfate. All of these are okay within organic. There's a lot of things you can use. We basically we have very little problems with stuff. There's an organic product to use on leafcutter ants called Omnitox. We use that for those.
You once mentioned about chopping bananas and making a potassium-rich.
You can do that with cacao with a lot of stuff to get a natural potassium in the stem that the bananas are on and stuff, and you can make ash from that, or you can just use it. There's any number of things, and I grow a lot of fruit trees that are from Southeast Asia. Our climate here in the Caribbean is really similar to the Malay Peninsula and Borneo, and we can have 2 seasons of fruit a year, like they do. And I've been to Malaysia 3 times in 5 years to do farm stays and go to workshops and stuff like that to learn about growing these trees. And so most of those farms are they're not organic. There's some interest in biodynamic, is interesting, but the thing is like most of the farms that I've visited, they don't use herbicide or anything like that. What they're using that's not organic, first off, is NPK fertilizers. They may use some other stuff, but if we see leaf spot funguses, we're able to control that with microorganisms. And the EM type microorganisms, lactobacillus, they attack fusarium and phytophthora as well as convert biomass to food for plants. So we work with that. And if somebody says, okay, with durian they've got this cycle of NPK, what I do is look for organic solutions to that. They're applying, like, say, 15, 15, 15 after the fruit drops. And so that's when I apply the manures. And maybe some other microelements or something. But it's not that hard, and it's worked out well for us.
Plus the biochar.
Yeah, there's the biochar. There's probably lots of microorganisms in there. It serves 2 purposes. It collects water there because we need water to mix with the microorganisms. And then the guy goes around and sprays the base of all of these trees with lactobacillus microorganisms. So also we keep stuff there.
Black drum just collects rainwater.
Yeah. See, there's a gutter, a canoa there that the water just goes right into that thing. You can see there's a cacao tree here. Cacao is being replaced by. We grow cacao and make fine chocolate too, but we're growing it in another spot where it's easier to work with more concentration of cacao. But this, you can see, it's producing here. There's problems with cacao. Cacao's a hard thing to grow in Costa Rica. There's a lot of diseases, and so if you grow cacao and make chocolate, then the making chocolate is a good business. I think growing cacao to sell cacao is a terrible business. but just putting something like this on top of it and the vanilla, or the same thing with pitaya, dragon fruit.
Right.
You can do that as well. You don't need soil. I've seen where, you know, in some commercial vanilla farms, they just have cement underneath, and then put all this on top of that. What we're doing here is like the opposite of a syntropic. Syntropic would plant straight up and down the hill because that's south and that's north. And what we're doing is called slope technology, SALT. If you look it up, it's a technology from the Philippines. And so, like, I'm more into actually agroforestry ideas from the Philippines, Korea, Japan than syntropic.
Okay.
And so these are like nitrogen fixers that are planted on contour. There's no digging that takes place, but it creates a passive terrace. So like we know that there's a movement of nutrient and biomass and whatever moving downhill. So that gets stopped somewhat at where those hedges are, and then the fruit trees are planted in the alleyway, and their roots go out and they feed at those where these nitrogen fixers are lined up, and biomass is congregating.
We have slopes, a lot of slopes.
Yeah, sure. A lot of people have slopes here. Like syntropic comes from an area in Brazil where everything is flat, and I don't think that they really get what it's like to work with slopes. And like these guys in the Philippines do. They want to plant north to south, and there's a reason for that because the sun comes over and hits both sides of the trees. So we, on a flat area, we plant north to south as well if there's no reason not to. But on slopes, we don't consider the cardinal points. What we want to do is organize everything by contour. Syntropic doesn't seem to take contour into consideration. Another thing I've seen them do is have near fruit trees is tall grass as a kind of a living mulch and a source of mulch and everything. But we don't like that. We want to have more extended leaf litter. It actually should be further and bigger than what you see here. It's something we want to keep on top of. And I don't like tall grass where the roots are. The roots on these tropical trees, many of them are superficial, and so they're feeding where this biomass comes into contact with the clay soil, and you can sweep them away and find mycorrhizae and all kinds of things in there. But if there's grass, then the grass is feeding in there too.
Right.
So we make this biochar. The biochar is, we make it in an adapted drum, and it reaches a temperature of about 850 degrees centigrade. And so it's very different than char that you would buy for a grill. It's got the volatiles are burned off in a secondary combustion, and so there's no smoke in this process, whereas traditional charcoal is like a cold process, and there's a lot of foul pellet smelling smoke that comes off of it for 3 or 4 days. This is fast and no smoke. A cubic centimeter of this charcoal is said to have the surface of a football field. So it serves a lot of purposes, and one of the main ones for us is as a refuge for microorganisms. So it encourages microorganisms. It's a place for the microorganisms to go when it's too dry or too wet or whatever, and they'll take advantage of that. So we keep applying. You know, the thing about biochar is that it doesn't go away. If we were applying something like calcium carbonate, you're supposed to apply every 6 months. It goes away.
Yeah.
But biochar you can find in South America where there's what they call terra preta, is a dark earth that is in Brazil in the Amazon, and this is a super good soil. And when you look at it, why is this soil so much better than the soil around it? What's there is charcoal and pottery pieces, pottery shards. So that shows that it was done by people. Charcoal is something that's easy to date. It's like 1,300 years old, and so like it's lasted there for 1,300 years, and it's still working. It's still good. So we're pretty confident about applying it and not having to keep applying on the same place. We plant a tree, and we put charcoal around. And then when we come back 6 months later, the tree's grown, and then we put more. If you ask how much charcoal does it take to make terra preta in a hectare, nobody really knows. But you know, a good guess is like 10,000 kilos, a kilo per square meter. And so then people say, oh, well, you know, we can't do that. But if you're just putting it a little bit all the time, and the next thing you know, this has come out here until the charcoal is coming from the next tree. And there's a lot of places on our farm that's like that. We don't have to add any there anymore.
It have to be made into powder, and
No.
smaller pieces better.
If I had a bed that I was growing carrots or something, that I would want powder. And you can buy powder that comes from rice hulls. But we're making our own, and no, this is fine like this.
It
So,
decomposes with time.
I mean, it can break up and stuff, and tends to worms and things will take it into the soil, but it doesn't. It doesn't go away, and it continues to improve the soil, even after soil is taken away. So this is a piece of the biochar that we make, and making biochar with this technique, pyrolysis, it's a very light char. I had somebody come here that calls himself Biochar Bob, and he's in the Dominican Republic, and he had access to electron microscope, and so like you would see the roots and stuff working into the char. But yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff. Two of them are from Borneo, Sinduk, it's a hybrid. That one green tree there is another chip, and that is propagated by India.
After tree reaches a certain height, you start doing it.
Yeah, I mean, so like this is a seedling, and that was the first time that it was done. With grafted trees, we'll often start lower.
Oh.
And you know, the lowest branches on this tree that we're going to end up with probably are branches about like this. But by cutting the top, then these branches tend to come out and get stronger, and so that's what we want. We want horizontal branches in the case of durian, because the durians are going to sit on the bottom of the branch.
And every year you choose another leader, you cut that.
You know, depending on the age and the shape of the tree. So these ones went for like about 2.5 years, something like that, before we did that. But there are trees that we'll start with at 6 months if the tree is growing well enough. We don't do that with everything, but we do it with durian, and durian has a completely different goal of shaping than, say, something like citrus. Because trees that like citrus that tend to produce more terminally, or breadfruit or something like that, then it's different. But durian, we want fruits to be on the bottom of those horizontal branches. So we're also, besides cutting the top, we're cutting branchlets. So like this needs to have more done. But if it was ready to flower, we would open it up more. We want bats and stuff to be able to get in there and pollinate.
All the vertical looking branches slowly.
So yeah, so we don't want branches that are coming up. These branches like there, you see a couple that start to come like that. Some of these will come back down on their own. Sometimes we cut the end off. Sometimes we tie something to it to bring it. We're into sharing what we're doing here, and we're open to the public. If you look on Google Maps or Google for Finca La Isla, ISLA, then there's a lot of information about when we're open. It's open to the public generally Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday from 10 until 4. And we also make chocolate, and my wife does a tree to bar chocolate class. It takes 3 hours, and you learn a lot about the chemistry, about the tree, and end up making chocolate, tempered chocolate that you take home with you. That is called Talamanca Chocolate. Talamanca is the name of this county we live in. So Talamanca Chocolate, and there's also plenty of information online about that.
Friends, we earlier talked about a chocolate factory here that Peter makes from his own organic cacao growing here in the farm, and then we got to see so many different types of mixtures of chocolate that he was describing. They all have different things. So if you want to take any gifts back to friends back in the US or Canada, wherever you come from, these chocolates, they are really good gifts, nicely packed, with all have a different story to tell. You can see with nori, milk. This is a spicy one, it's called Chase. So they all had different stories that Peter was explaining. Thank you, Peter, for this wonderful tour. We actually came for pulasan. So now we remember that we came for pulasan tasting. We tasted your pulasan, but we are going to make a new tasting video on pulasan and rambutan, how they're different, because we were under the impression that pulasan is sour, but tasting your pulasan, we changed our mind now. But we'll be doing a tasting video on it. And also, if you are ever on our side of the Costa Rica, please come to our farm. We'll show how we are doing. We are just starting, but I think we learned about that salt, that terracing in Philippines. So I'm gonna research more on what it is and try to implement that in our farm. But thank you very, very much. And if you want to tell anything.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad that you came. And yeah, I'm always into sharing with other people that are growing, planting out fruit trees, especially in Costa Rica. Yeah, I'm glad to have you guys here, and thanks a lot for the visit and everything. And hope to see you again soon.
Thank you very much. Please like and subscribe, and that will inspire us to make more videos like this. Thank you.